All right. Well, hello, and thank you all for joining me on another episode of the Professional Pricing Society podcast. My name is Terrence, and we have yet another amazing conversation ahead of us with an amazing individual. Today's guest is Hillary Gretton. She's the Associate Director of Access and Contract Analytics at Jazz Pharmaceuticals. She has extensive experience with both the hows and whys of best pricing practices and values the importance of managing both the data technology as well as the people and communication aspects. Hillary is also a proud CPP alum and earned her MBA from the University of Redlands. Miss Hillary, how are you doing today?
Wonderful, Terrence. Thanks so much for talking with me this morning.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being here. Now, you are a special guest in the sense that you are going to be speaking at our upcoming conference, which will be taking place in Dallas, Texas, this upcoming May, our 34th annual pricing and workshop conference. We're very excited to have you. And you're going to be shedding a light on a very necessary topic. So let's go ahead and jump right into our conversation today. What exactly is curiosity and why should I care about it as, a pricer?
So that is a really excellent question. And curiosity is being able to step back from your existing decisions, your mindsets, these preconceived notions that you have, and ask, but what else? And
Mhm,
actually, I was just in a workshop where the instructor mentioned curiosity lacks judgment. And
mhm,
I think this really perfectly encapsulates this view. Being curious allows you to step outside of your swim lane, your department, and even your industry to ask what is expected of your product and your organization by the wider market.
mhm,
Thinking about your current and your future customers and your competitors. Yes, you may have had success with last year's pricing strategy, either by design or you kind of accidentally fell into it. But really, does that capture the current zeitgeist? And more so, what could it be? If you aren't constantly asking questions of your customers and the customers of your competitors' products, you're really setting yourself up for a rude awakening in the near future.
mhm,
So, in a nutshell, pricers are much more than just spreadsheet jockeys and
mhm.
number crunchers, right? We have this amazing, if not daunting, job of consolidating all of the value of our products. So, thinking about the tangible and the intangible components, and you put this into this number that is often stripped of its context.
Mhm.
So what we should be doing really is our best to ensure that that number carries the full weight and value of all of our offers, right?
Mm,
So curiosity doesn't mean that someone else is wrong in
mhm.
last year's pricing efforts, but rather that they can be adjusted to factor in changes that we saw in the last year. And out of that can come conflict, right? Because you may be calling someone else's baby ugly, you're
Mm,
rocking their boat, you're moving their cheese, or you're just introducing change, which is very scary to some people. Let's be honest, all people, right?
mhm.
But conflict is not a four-letter word, contrary to popular opinion. Healthy conflict really allows us to grow as a team and an organization.
Okay, now healthy conflict, you made mention of that. Now, what exactly is healthy conflict, especially in the realm of, coworkers in that sense?
So healthy conflict is really based on mutual trust and
Mhm,
respect. It's not
mhm,
being right or winning the argument. It's really steeped in both parties arriving towards a mutually beneficial goal and being aligned in their thoughts. So if I challenge my coworker, it's because that I know we both wanted our product to launch successfully and the
mhm,
price to support how the customers use our product. If during a launch prep meeting, right, it's uncovered that we're both diametrically opposed in our pricing strategy, the question isn't, what's wrong with you, coworker?
mhm.
It's, so help me better understand how you arrived at that number. What analysis did you use to get to that? We should be respectful, but unafraid to ask questions. People may be guarded initially, but in showing an interest in their thought process, you're actually showing a lot of respect for that person's abilities and competencies and alignment overall with your organization. I had another intelligent coworker who recently mentioned that the heart forgives when operating under positive intent. And
Mhm.
that really stuck with me. If we feel that others are coming from a place of respect and true intent, we're more willing to really forgive perceived slights. And honestly, it's so easy to get caught up in our own deliverables and timelines. And we can feel that we need to bulldoze over other people and groups to meet our goals. But by being curious, And understanding the other party's concerns and trepidations, we can really get to the heart of why we aren't aligned and how we can really unwind and walk that back to ultimately come to an agreement.
Okay, good. That's really good to know. Explaining and expounding on healthy conflict, and from based on what you're saying, it sounds like it's meant to be something constructive, when it comes to healthy conflict and working through things. Now, thinking about partners, how should I establish myself as a trusted partner while I'm in pricing?
So this is the $1 million question, right? Being trusted means that you speak the languages of other functions and departments, right? I think pricers are polyglots.
Mm-hmm.
And it also helps if you wear some of the same battle scars, thinking about it. You're in the foxholes and you're in the trenches together and really appreciate where the other person is coming from. So in this pricing role, you aren't just a person that maybe swings by the occasional meeting, you wave from across the lunchroom, or maybe in the virtual meeting, you say hello. But really, you're this partner that works through problems with them. You digest articles about the market's landscape, you decrypt pricing jargon and formulas. You think, how would you take this vague concept of net cost recovery and just put it in a simple sentence that other people can understand, and really understanding what is the so what to another person, what drives them, what motivates them, what keeps them up at night. So you're really there to help them better understand this full milieu, and how do we really get across the finish line
Mm-hmm.
together, help them think through those really difficult concepts or those probing questions, just kind of be there if someone wants to pop in your office. And I would really think this still, distills down to curiosity allows us to execute more successfully. You can read tons of books and attend hours of webinars about, what formula do you use to get to this magic profit number, or, how to establish a list price or a WAC price. But ultimately, it's all about being able to actually execute on that. What good
Mm-hmm.
is paper if you can't make it impact your business, right?
Mm-hmm.
So pricing teams are already often down one peg in the perception at companies. In the words of Reed Holden, which this sticks with me from a PPS meeting years ago, we're the sales prevention department, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, oftentimes we're this unpopular kid at our own lunch table in the organization. So being curious really allows us to connect back with other teams and hear their side of the story.
Mm-hmm. Now, we could go on and on about expounding on this particular topic, the curiosity of pricing. Where can I learn more about this topic moving forward?
So you can join me in Dallas during my breakout session on Thursday, May 4th, and we can chat about this amazing and impactful topic. Feel free to grab me in the hallway, the vendor hall. Can't wait to meet you and would love to continue the conversation more.
Now, Hillary, for those tuning in with us today, where can they go to learn more about you or maybe to get in contact with you?
So you can always reach out on LinkedIn, and I'm available, Hillary Gretton, CPP, MBA. I'd love to get in contact and talk with people about any questions you may have, or definitely meet in person at PPS.
Okay, good. Awesome. Sounds great. The curiosity of pricing. Miss Hillary is going to be spearheading that conversation this upcoming May. If you already have not done so, we want to encourage you all to register and take the time to visit our website and learn more about the conferences, the workshops, the breakout sessions, and the keynote speakers. Thank you so much, Hillary, for your discussion with me today. Until next time, you all have a good time. Bye-bye.